that these guys are incredible. Looking at the scores from day one, I went ahead and wrote them down just in case I forgot how one-sided both games were. Rogue beat PSG Talon 16-0. Not a single kill onto any player on Rogue. 25-7 was DAMWON's final score over JDG. Both of these teams, just such incredible showings on day number one. But hey, we're already into the draft for day number two. Let's forget about the recent history. Let's go to what's happening right now. Twisted Fate, Camille, Nidalee, Renekton, Ornn, Lucian, all banned away. It's Hecarim, Syndra, and Kalista picked up here for Rogue. As on the other side, it's Marksman Town, baby. We got Ashe and Graves both locked in.
Targeting some of the key picks was Rogue. The Camille has been so big throughout this tournament. Nuguri is one of the best in the world. We have seen Showmaker dominant in the LCK on the TF, so that feels like an absolute must takeaway. Going to be interested to see if there is parity here in that final pick, if they're going to grab Showmaker's selection. It does instead look like this will be Pantheon support for Beryl. He is the guy who does play this a lot. It was his most played in the LCK, so we are expecting it to go down there for sure. Yes, it could theoretically go somewhere else, but not really worth considering given how often he does like to play it.
Plus, a point-and-click stun is great against Kalista. This is a champion that has a lot of dodging opportunities through her passive with the martial cadence. Can't dodge away from a guy hovering his mouse over you and then pressing a button. It's very good at locking down those slippery champions. Beryl, as you already said, his most played. So many supports share champions in common, but Pantheon's one of those ones that it's kind of hit or miss. Some people play it, some people don't. Some people that play it aren't good at it. But Beryl is the Pantheon player for support.
And I mean, it's kind of representative of the playstyle of this team, right? You know, every single person on their team except for Ghost was first team all LCK, right? And it's like, Beryl's like, all right, Ghost, good luck, bud. Get out there on the map. You have a good time. Be back here in 20 minutes. They like to get things going in the other lanes. Ghost, though, was dominant yesterday. You know, he is a very good player in his own right, but he is kind of on a team surrounded by 4 absolute stars, and he's new to the scene. So this is one of those things where he is not prioritized for the team, not because he is not good, but because they like to play through top. They like to play through mid. And I am expecting last pick probably for Nuguri. I do think it would make sense given that, you know, Rogue, their big weakness is Finn, right? That is the guy you are expecting them to target. And that is the big reason, honestly, why people are not expecting Rogue to get through this group, because you have DAMWON with Nuguri, you have JDG with Zoom, you have these guys who are so dominant in the top lane, you know, 2 of potentially the 3 best top laners in the world in this group. And then, you know, Finn is going to have to be able to survive that. Sylas could be a flex, and I actually love Sylas as a pick here, not only because, you know, Showmaker is very comfortable on this, but guess what slams Malphite? Sylas. You can't pick it if that is in the game, because you're going to give over, like, you know, an AP character that ultimate that he can steal and just crush you with. So he is going to go to the GP. This was his most played in the LEC, but this is something that can be picked on. I'm going to be really interested to see what Nuguri does go to. You know, I don't think that this will be flex the top lane. I do think that's a mid lane Sylas, and we get to find out how aggressive does Nuguri want to go. The Rise would be a very strong pick. Kale also good. A lot of the ranged top laners that can scale are very strong in a GP because you have the ability to outplay the barrels to knock them down, and you have the ability to scale alongside and really get access to the tower to be able to punish the GP by taking plates, by pressuring him there. And that got locked. So we will see Lulu. Is this going to be Lulu
top, maybe?
Or is it going to be Lulu support? And it actually is going to be Pantheon mid, so wow. They are completely throwing a wrench in the gears here.
Shake it up a little bit.
Showmaker did not play Pantheon all summer split. So, you know, I was writing it off as a Pantheon support for sure. And it doesn't look like it's actually going to be the case.
No, but...
Or no, they're swapping again.
They switched around. It's Beryl and Pantheon. It's top lane Lulu.
Okay.
Now, this could be, yes, supportive Lulu, haha, cast AP,
yeah,
shields and whatever. I want to see Machine Gun Lulu. I know it's just a solo queue build and it's not very good, but, oh, I would love to see an aggressive Chad Lulu take over the group stage.
I wouldn't be shocked to see something, you know, somewhat aggressive, something along the lines of Roa at the very least. I think could make sense. You don't want to be too squishy up there against GP. You know, being able to get burst down if the jungler does come, there is potential in that. But this works similarly to some of the other matchups that I was talking about. Just ranged top laners in general, you can poke down GP. It's about consistent damage because GP wins lanes by just queuing you on cooldown with grasp, slowly whittling you away. What he doesn't do well in is is when he's up against a ranged top laner, you go up to Q, the Lulu E's you, Qs you, slows you down, polymorphs you, is autoing you. Like the trade gets extended beyond where GP can win, and that's where it gets really difficult. And GP can no longer just sit back and drop a barrel and dissuade a melee champion from walking forward to him because of the risk of the barrel chain. You can actually win those little games where you're knocking down the barrel from your opponent. You're trying to pressure very hard. I'm super excited to see this work out because it has been so long since I have seen a Lulu top, and this is a very different take of how to dominate a lane because, it can turn from this early game lane bully to what you were talking about, where maybe you go Roa into just like, Athenes and Ardent and all this sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden you're just this super powerful support buffing up your Graves and your Ashe, and that can be quite strong too because this team wants to dive in on you. There's a Hecarim over there. Well, if Hecarim flies in and gets polymorphed during the Taric ultimate, that sucks for Hecarim.
Yep.
And if Taric gets thrown in and you polymorph him before his ultimate can come down, and these types of things can be very difficult to deal with. So this is so interesting. Really excited to watch it.
Okay, Airy is the keystone of choice here for Nagri, which generally tells us it's not going to be some crazy super cheese on hit Lulu because those generally will take press the attack or lethal tempo or something in the yellow.
I mean, this is better anyway for lane bullying, I think.
So Airy will allow that consistent lane bullying there, looking at the keystones on everybody else. Electrocute on the Syndra this game, so no phase rush for Larson. Wants to go with just the straight up more damage option there. Phase rush, however, will be taken by Inspired's Hecarim. This is a champion where sometimes you see Conqueror, sometimes you see phase rush. Phase rush does give you more options to get in and out in the fights. So he'll be opting for that this time around. Bottom lane summoner spells, both 80 carries taking the cleanse.
This is so interesting. What are they doing here? GP is going down towards that bottom side, and they're actually just stacking here. Maybe they're worried about some sort of an invade or something. Are they like, what are they going to do? Are they lane swapping? This is pretty interesting. So
I think they're trying to Galaxy Brain.
Okay, I think they were just waiting for a late invade, and they were just doing a 5-stack for a potential late invade, and then waiting so long to walk around because if Canyon's already there on the Graves, sometimes they would go for that type of play, and then all 5 members are there and you punish, and that's actually kind of trying to use what DAMWON did yesterday at JDG against them. So I do like that. Pretty clever stuff. But it does mean, Finn actually started Trinket Ward and then dropped his ward and swapped to Sweeper. That's something that you see a lot from junglers. That is not something you see a lot from top laners. And this is going to mean that Inspired has got to drop wards for him because you are going to potentially be in a spot where you have no idea where the jungler is. It can be very risky. And Canyon is actually just going buff to buff, red to blue. He should be able to finish this off very early. And if they get into a split map situation, that's just going to be even more dangerous for Finn. But that being said, if you can survive and hold weak side and not just get slammed, well, that's great. GP is a great weak side champion. You can farm it out, you can scale it up, you can drop ultimates on the bot side for your Hecarim and Taric combo who are looking for hard engages. But I think surviving is going to be so tough when you have no jungler up here to help you, and you're up against one of the best top laners in the world playing counter pick.
Yep, the Lulu will take over and control this lane. Canyon accidentally makes the Gromp lose its patience. You always hate to see that as a jungler. You want to kite it to the very edge of the aggro range, kill it right as the bar would have run out, but just took a little bit too long on that one. And now he's topside. Oh man,
died.
If Finn dies as this wave crashes, that is just a tragedy.
He's not level 3, so he has no W.
Level 2, here on the gangplank. No mana left to work with first, but they made it look so easy, man. DAMWON Gaming with that first blood.
Their preparation is honestly just too good. I was talking to some casters yesterday about, how you would punish Finn, after he showed the Malphite, and it's ranged AP top laners, right? I was thinking Vlad, I was thinking Cassio, maybe even Kayle, things like this. They bring out the Lulu. They have the map split with the Graves going buff to buff, and they time this double level 3 dive on a stacked wave where Nagri has zoned Finn away so he cannot be level 3, and there's essentially nothing he can do, right? Like, if you don't have the orange there to try to get a heal and some sort of outplay, there's no chance. And you force the TP now on a mana crystal. GP's always trying to hold out to get Sheen on that first buy, and then you're really much more in the comfort zone.
Right.
So he is going to be in a pretty bad spot. Thankfully for him, at the very least, Nagri is not the one who got the kill, and he is farming okay. So if he can actually get this wave reset, he could put himself in an okay spot, but I don't think they know where Graves is, so Inspired's got to get up here and try to help him escort in this wave. He really wants to reset it and be able to get himself out of this danger zone.
Yeah, we saw a big wave, like 2 waves colliding into the turret, but Finn is still even with Nagari on farm. So it's not like he lost more than just the death, really, in that 1v1, or in that 2v1, excuse me. But Inspired is showing up here. They want to shove this wave in. They need to just make sure this resets. This is something that I've failed to do for you 100 different times in our games together, and I'm sure you're hoping that I learned something from the way that they're able to play this game together, but unfortunately I will not. But that wave will crash into the turret.
Hey, you come up sometimes. You just take the wave when you come up.
Well, there's a reason I'm not on a pro team. As Canyon rotates into the mid lane, he'll be doing the same thing that we saw top, making sure that this wave collides, providing Showmaker with the opportunity to get out of the lane, reset, do whatever he needs to do.
But strangely enough, Finn didn't actually base there. You know, I expected that maybe Finn could have gone back and like got a cull or a Doran's Blade or just something, because really he just wants to survive this. But he did decide to stay around. Nuguri is very low on mana, so he may not be punished for this, but his health is getting pretty damn low. Thankfully for them, they did see Canyon show mid lane and then head over towards the bot side, so he's not really worried about a dive, and as a result, Finn may be able to hang in there in lane, and you know, if it just kind of continues as a farm lane from here, then I'd say Finn's looking good.
Now, Finn on the gangplank, still keeping that farm nice and close. Remember, once he does get that Sheen that you were talking about, the Grasp enchanted, Sheen enchanted bullets from the parlay as he puts more levels into it, will eventually get to the point where they'll be able to do a little bit of damage past Lulu's shield. And remember that as a champion, Lulu has shielding but not healing. So even if he's only able to chip away a little bit here, a little bit there, it will still be able to try to whittle her down a little bit, maybe make her use potion charges, something or another. Also, one thing that I didn't point out earlier when we were looking at Keystones that is very much worth mentioning right now is Canyon's Ignite on the Graves. This is a choice that we do see sometimes, not super common, but it gives you a lot more kill potential, a lot more kill threat, particularly against a champion like a Hecarim or a Gangplank that have a lot of healing in the kit that can use that to escape what otherwise would be a deathly situation. But it does mean that if Canyon's ever caught out, boy, is he in some trouble.
So this actually...
Ooh. Mid lane, Larson trying to defend himself here. Showmaker gets aggressive.
Yeah, and he is 6, so he can actually get the Syndra ult before Syndra has her own ult. Larson does hit 6 there now. But that was a move that was very respectful from Rogue. You saw Finn back off the minion wave because it was stacked. You saw Vander and Inspired both go up there, but Canyon was actually nowhere even near, right? So they didn't even go for that, and now Hansama going to be taking a lot of damage.
But he returns a lot onto Beryl as well. They both trade half HP for that. Usually, though, when you see those kinds of trades and you trade half on your support for half on their AD carry, you're going to consider that a win. Kill the AD carry in the 2v2, you're pretty much guaranteed to walk away with the dub on that one. As Nagari, every time we pan up here, he's completely out of mana because he's always just using everything in the tank to harass Finn as effectively as possible. Keep the Gangplank stuck underneath the turret, keep him low, and you're starting to see that CS lead build. As the Lulu builds up more mana, as she gets more levels and more points in these abilities, she'll become more and more oppressive here in this 1v1. Now, Finn goes back to base. He will finally be able to acquire the completed Sheen, has an extra Ruby Crystal just to make him a little bit tankier up against all the shots he's going to have to be enduring against this Lulu. And he has to hoof it back up the top lane because, of course, you know, that teleport not quite available here just yet. Beryl tosses out a spear towards Hansama. Now, the bottom lane of Rogue does have that little spirit there patrolling in their own jungle, making sure Canyon isn't coming around behind him. Canyon is level 6 with Ignite and ulti on this Graves. Wherever he shows up, there will be kill threat.
And you can see Finn actually drop the ultimate to try to get that wave because he based, Nagari had the push, so he was going to lose that, and he didn't want to lose too much tower HP there on that cannon wave. So picks up a few of those minions with the ultimate and does defend the tower a little bit. Interesting build here from Nagari. So the early Swifty boots is going to allow him to, you know, shrug off any potential slows from a barrel chain to be able to chase down and harass more effectively on Finn. And the Fiendish Codex makes me think that he's probably just rushing Athenes. That would be my guess here. Yes, there are other options. He could be going towards some other things, but I don't think that, you know, Zoni's Rush or Banshees or like any of those types of items really make sense here. So I do think he's just going to be going into a supportive style build, probably Athenes first, just counting on the matchup itself rather than the itemization to win that 1v1 and to extend an advantage, and then use that gold that he is stacking up to then not try to extend the lead himself, but to empower his teammates, right? And to have this really early Athenes and maybe into a death cap or more, maybe into just more full supportive items right after that, and then say, all right, Ghost, Canyon, Showmaker, time to carry me.
And while we're talking about how the game's going to play out and how things will look, one thing that I think is always worth examining when Sylas is in the match, how effective will the ultimates be that he can steal? And Syndra and Taric are two different ultimates that you would look at and your first thought might be, okay, those are very powerful ultis that can change the course of the fight. But remember, when wielded by Sylas, they are both limited compared to their capacity in the hands of the actual owner. Sylas can only use Taric ulti on himself. He doesn't have a partner that it gets summoned down on, so there's not two source points for it. And he only ever gets 3 orbs because he's not Syndra and he can't make more. So those two ultis will have limited applications.
Yep.
However, Hecarim ulti can be very powerful to engage into a team. We know what Gangplank ulti can do when placed down in a team fight. That's going to be an absolute mess with both of those just raining hell on the entirety of both rosters. So there are some good options here for the Sylas. You can see Beryl, once again, working with Canyon here, playing aggressive in the enemy jungle, looking to see if they can find this horse and send him to the old glue factory.
Yep, I mean, Inspired, you want to play to farm when you're playing Hecarim, right? You are trying to get straight to Triforce, avoid the PvP, go for the PV, farm it up. But the fact that Ghost and Beryl are having the push, and Beryl just roams away from Ghost and just sits here in the jungle, plus the fact that Showmaker is constantly pushing, they have all these winning lanes, and it's allowing Canyon to just go into the face of his opponent. He already has a 2-level advantage. You know, he's up nearly 30 CS.
Crazy.
He took the Herald and he took the Dragon. And usually when you take those objectives, you're foregoing farming your camps as efficiently to do that. So usually you're not creating an enormous advantage, but in this case, because of the skill of this team, because of the fact that they drafted for winning lanes, he is kind of getting to have his cake and eat it too. And as a result, he is going to be monstrously strong and then empowered by this Lulu who's already ahead. Finn does have that ultimate backup though, and you have 6 now on Vander and Inspired, so if they want, they could try to make a play around that. You know, dropping the GP ult on the head of the Ashe does make for a pretty good engaged target. With that Taric plus the Hecarim flying on in there, it's a very easy dazzle stun coming off the Hecarim. You throw the Bastion in, you fear them straight into that stun from the Taric, and it can be really, really nasty engage on low mobility champions like Ghost.
DAMWON's going into the enemy mid laner here. Larsen's in some trouble. Tries to flash away, evading the damage. Collateral damage comes through, but an amazing turnaround's able to find the kill onto Beryl here, and now it's going to be a 2-for-1. Showmaker tries to get himself out, but Han Sama's got the spear.
Nicely done from Rogue. They find not the engage, but the counter engage there, as it was DAMWON trying to go for Larsen, and it looked like Beryl did not get his shield up in time, or perhaps he's a little bit too early to absorb a lot of that damage. Finn also was so quick on the GP ultimate. Credit to him here. Yeah, so he just didn't get it out. He didn't actually get that shield off in time. Great scatter from Larsen, perhaps before Beryl was expecting it. You know, generally for the Pantheon, they use their full damage combo. You come to the stun, they put up that shield to block all the damage. He was not able to pull that off, and as a result, really got punished. Burst down very quickly, but top turret, that is gone. And despite the fact that they get those kills, this is going to be an over 3,000 gold lead, very likely, when it's all said and done here. As DAMWON have a huge top advantage. The Athenes is already finished, so now Nagri can kind of almost play like a funnel-esque game, where he can start just walking around with Canyon, and Canyon can start taking some of the lane farm, you know, just power him up. And with this Lulu plus the Graves, who are both very far ahead, there's just no world in which you lose a 2v2 to Inspired and Finn pretty much ever. So they can really have the run of the map, and as long as you're kind of tracking where Syndra is, tracking where the bot lane is from Rogue, they can go wherever they want, do whatever they want.
Perfect use of Shelly up there too, making sure to get the headbutt on the last 2 plates for maximum value with the true damage, securing the first turret. 3,500 gold plus 1 Drake. The lead for DAMWON Gaming, even though the score is only 2-2. 4 kills in 12 minutes, nothing super exciting, but the way this team is able to just build leads for themselves. We already mentioned the jungle farm advantage. Now, the marker for Hecarim to complete a Trinity Force with nothing but Hunter's Talisman in the inventory is 14 minutes. That's generally where you would want to try to have that completed by.
Yeah.
However, he did stop off for the completed Smite first, as Showmaker's trying to trade here with Larsen in the mid lane, but Beryl's showing up. This time he gets the shield down. He blocks all the damage
Beryl's
coming out from
gonna
the... He missed the spear! Oh, he missed the spear, and Larsen comes out on top. He plays the fight well, and he gets the outplay.
That was such an overforce from Beryl, though. Why did he stay after they couldn't get that kill? He just stayed in turn range. It was like he was not accepting that the kill was gone, and it was very clearly gone. And Larsen makes him play. This guy has been a monster for Rogue all year long. One of the best mid laners in the LEC for sure.
Now we got another fight breaking out here in the mid lane. Oh, the Taric ulti barely keeping Inspired alive. It blocks the collateral damage, it blocks the second half of the Ignite, and Rogue are able to walk away. Despite DAMWON's gold lead, Rogue are doing a good job keeping their defenses ready and resisting the aggressive plays of DAMWON here in the mid lane.
Yeah, that Taric ultimate was perfectly timed by Vander. So often you see it coming down just a split second too late, but it landed in time, saved Inspired. Larson had the 1v2 outplay, and
well,
get out of there. Quick ultimate.
Inspired walks out. Now remember, the Graves does not have the ulti to kill him, so it's not like he's under real threat now. Did use the ult to get away, but he'll be just fine. And yeah, talking about Larson, man, this guy was second in MVP votes, only behind Caps, who is pretty much the most talked about player in all of Europe ever.
Yep.
It's always like Caps is just such a huge force in the region. To be right behind him is absolutely a victory in itself. There's the power of Kalista. The support gets caught out, immediately can just pull him to safety, make it so there's no consequence on that one. DAMWON, they try to go for the play, pick off the enemy Taric. But here's the cool part. Even though Taric survives, DAMWON still know that Cosmic Radiance has a massive cooldown. That's the trade-off for it being one of the most powerful ultimates in League of Legends. It will not be ready to go in time for this Drake if DAMWON force a fight on the Drake immediately. They still have a 3,000 gold lead. It's only 15 minutes into the game. That is pretty impactful. Barrel's hanging around here in the brush. Won't be seen by that Hextech sweeper. Tosses a spear at him, but nobody else is nearby, so it's not like he can engage and have the rest of the team near him to follow up. Nagari is walking down here, but here's the other thing I want to point out. Finn had recently used his teleport. He can't join this fight with anything except for his ultimate. If Rogue wants to contest this, which it looks like they won't, it would have to be a 4.5 versus 5 with only GP ulti, so that one just goes over to DAMWON. That is 2-0 on the Drake count, and here they come for the mid lane. It's Shelly summoned up for the second time for DAMWON Gaming. They've got the mid lane turret down below half already. One headbutt will take care of this one. Here we go, and bonk. Turret taken care of.
And despite the fact that Rogue have done well in the skirmishes and the fights, DAMWON is just playing the map so damn well and extending their advantages constantly with Canyon, winning these lanes, being able to use that to get the jungler so far ahead. Is really putting themselves in a position where I think Rogue definitely made the right choice to not fight that. Fighting with this Lulu already at level 11 with rank 2 ultimate, Canyon so strong. These guys were ready to go, and I think trying to fight that without the Taric ultimate would have been absolute suicide for Rogue. So the one thing kind of going for Rogue is that DAMWON, because they were focusing so heavily on getting ahead in gold, they did not stack super early dragons, right? So it's not as though they're on pace for like that just past 20 minutes soul, right? They're about 5 minutes behind that mark, so Rogue will have more time to try to scale, to get the GP up to a spot where he's ready to go, to try to get Han Sama to 2 items, and then maybe we'll see them look for a fight around that, because Inspired will have his Triforce ready. They're gonna have a lot of these key completions at the next dragon.
That next dragon, they will need to potentially fight for it for Rogue, though. You really hate to let your opponents just get to that soul point nice and early. Total gold on the side of your screen right now. You can see the top 3 spots held onto by DAMWON Gaming players, particularly that Lulu. Even a pure support build of an Athenes and an Ardent Censer can be very scary if Lulu's got 2,000 more gold than you have. Canyon walks up towards that brush, sees the red silhouette, backs away from it. Level 11 here on this Graves has Warrior plus the Yumu's Ghost Blade second item. Now, sometimes we do see a Graves go for lethality second. Usually it's an Umbral Glaive, but this time around, Canyon wants to be more aggressive. Yumu's gives him so much sticking power in a team fight to make sure nobody gets away from him with those close-ranged autos. That's scary.
And you got to remember, he has no flash, and he's also kind of acting as a pseudo carry for this team, right? Because he has the Lulu power him up. So the Ghost Blade gives you the added mobility. You're going to have the Nimbus Cloak proc on your Smite as well as the Ignite. So you're going to be able to amp up your move speed with that. You have the Ghost Blade for additional move speed, and you have Nuggery, who's likely going to be behind you, speeding you up. So that's kind of circumventing the flash that he has not having access to this game. So I do think it's pretty smart stuff from here. And I honestly feel like this game is going to be decided the next Dragon fight. I think that DAMWON are just in such a commanding position. If they get an early soul point in this game, it's going to be incredibly hard for Rogue to ever really find a window into fight. And the tough part about that is, for Rogue, that they're going to be able to force Rogue to fight when they're still, 4 or 5K behind because of how effectively they have really extended this jungle advantage. So it's going to come down likely to the engage. Can Rogue time that perfect Taric ultimate alongside the engage from the Hecarim, alongside the GP ultimate, and just get this layering of CC where you can then get access to these squishy members here from DAMWON and try to burst them down? Because despite the gold advantage, they are all very squishy. This Lulu could die in an instant. So could the Graves if you can time everything.
There's a lot of squishiness on both sides. The tier 2 falls on the top side, but when you're looking at the targets, and this is why I like the Ghostblade on Canyon so much. Yeah, there's no armor on anybody except for the Taric. And when I say no armor, I mean it. Like, sometimes you say that and there's a cloth armor or there's a ninja tabby or something, but no. Everybody on Rogue is so flimsy against Canyon's damage with this lethality. It feels like one of the hottest topics in League of Legends conversation, and you tweeted about this earlier this year, was just losing to the shopkeeper. Players buying the wrong items in wrong situations and things along those lines. This Boris is shaking in his boots right now at Canyon's Galaxy Brain. I don't think there is really a better purchase for a single item you could have gone for a second item in this game other than Yumu's Ghostblade. I think that this is exactly what DAMWON needs to do to enable the Graves to be as successful as possible in this upcoming team fight, which, as you properly pointed out, is going to be so important moving forward.
Yep.
If Rogue lose a big fight at Dragon, I think you GG it.
Yep, I mean, if Rogue fail their engage, if you don't have that perfectly timed engage where you layer CC and you take out some of these members, you're going to get shredded because they just have so much more gold than you, and they're going to be empowered by this Lulu already with those 2 support items, multiple AD carries who are really, really strong. So it's such a key moment in the game here for Rogue. I love that they have set up early, multiple pinks in the area. They know they had to be first here. We are seeing DAMWON try to get control of the waves, try to draw Rogue out from those brushes and force them to come and check out this mid lane, and we'll see if Rogue does kind of respond to it.
Canyon kiting the minion wave away here as Rogue decides to step out into the mid lane. Clear that one
behind them, though.
They do have scuttle control towards the Drake, but Showmaker coming in from behind. Remember, if he steals away the Hecarim ulti, he can be an engage on his own. Collateral damage comes through. Yep. There's that Hecarim ulti steal that I mentioned. Showmaker is now a primary engage candidate. Larson has lost a little HP. Hansama has lost a little HP. Drake is up. Showmaker's in the pit. Barrel moving around from behind there. Does know that there's a control ward in that brush. We'll clear that one out. We're just sort of playing a game of musical rift here, Isaac. Everybody's just walking around the center, trading spots, seeing when the music is going to stop. Showmaker walking towards that tri-brush as TP shows up from Larson, arriving back into the fight. Drake is down to half HP. Over the wall goes Showmaker. Could find his engage right now. Drake's at 2,500. There's spears in it. Hansama might be able to go in. There comes Cosmic Radiance. The Dragon is secured by Rogue. They got the objective. Can they get out? There's the Kalista ulti. Over the wall comes Showmaker, but he won't find anybody. Gangplank ulti's going to disengage it, and honestly, Rogue, just beautiful. They navigate the fight perfectly to take the objective, escape the DAMWON counterattack, and stop the soul stack. Couldn't have done it better.
Incredible smite there from Inspired. That was so key to be able to grab that dragon for Rogue, staving off soul point from DAMWON. And also, credit to knowing their limits. No one got antsy on Rogue. No one just tried to pull the trigger on an engage and say, all right, we gotta fight, they're poking us. Everyone stayed calm. They stuck to their guns. They nailed the smite, and that's really the best you could hope to come out with from that position. But, it's still a tough road from here for Rogue. I think the longer this game goes, the better it is going to get for them, with this Taric, with, these members catching up, GP getting to relevance is going to spell good things for them. So they just need to keep hanging on, because now, really the earliest expected soul timer for DAMWON would be like 30 minutes, because they didn't take an early first dragon. They lost the third one. So Rogue should have enough time to get to their items and earn themselves a shot. So instead,
will they?
DAMWON is just going to start the Baron and try to force their hand, try to force them to come to them before they can close this lead whatsoever. And Rogue doesn't seem like they really know until just now.
Well, they're aware. The TP is showing up. DAMWON ready to make the attack. The teleport will be jumped on, and Finn tries to get away. Now Inspired has to defensively ult to retreat.
Back to the Baron.
So Rogue has stopped the Baron attempt for now, but they do it at the cost of their top laner's summoner spells, both of them, as well as their big engage mechanism on the Hecarim there. However, DAMWON will not immediately try to go back, but a TP is coming in behind Rogue. It's Showmaker wanting to show up here for the flank, but nobody else from DAMWON can get in there in time. There goes your Glacial Augment power, not Glacial Augment, excuse me, Hextech GLP. I see the two together so often, they are easily confusable, but the Cosmic Radiance has been stolen by Showmaker. He's at a point where he can drop that defensively, make some use out of it. Rogue once again avoiding the engage from DAMWON, making sure they're playing with respect, but DAMWON still continue building leads in this game. The respect that Rogue shows them means that DAMWON are able to keep playing League of Legends how they want to, and the way they want to is knocking down all these turrets. 5-to-1 turret count now, 5,500 gold up.
The Rogue have done a great job of staving off the killing blow, but DAMWON, as you said, they're still extending the advantage. It's not as though it's stagnated. We're up near 6,000 now, past 5.5 as they keep taking away buffs, as they keep taking down towers. This is where it's a lot harder to continue getting those objectives for DAMWON, though, is just that one outer turret left in that bottom lane is a tier 2, so it can be tough to get over there. But I think that DAMWON can continue to look to force around objectives. Right now, there's no TP available, so Nuggery's just going to go to bottom lane, try to bring people to him. If anyone comes and answers, he can TP up to Baron, and even if they don't actually look to do that, if no one wants to answer him, well, then he's going to pressure the tower and look to try to take even more of a gold lead.
Rogue's doing a good job of avoiding the big ol' hit that just knocks your head clean off, but it's still death by 1,000 cuts as DAMWON's lead builds up consistently in spite of that. 90 seconds until the next Drake is alive. It is a 2-to-1 Drake count for the side of DAMWON Gaming. A ward will spot out Vander and Hansama here. Canyon and Nagari will show up. They'll join up with Beryl. We didn't point it out earlier because we were discussing something else at the time, but when the vision chart showed up, at one point, Beryl had 72 vision score. Next closest was 30. Nice engage shows up from the Ashe, but it's only onto the Taric once more. Remember, when Kallista's in the game, you never have a pick on her support. No matter what's going on, she can always pull him to safety, but now the Kallista ulti is down. Can they do anything in the absence of that? Taric is now a vulnerable target. Showmaker is off to the side. I believe the cooldown for stealing the Hecarim ulti should be just about expired by now. He can steal that one away from Inspired yet again. Finn in the chase here, but Showmaker with a good interrupt on that barrel, making sure that the explosion doesn't go off.
Yep, Finn is now on 2 items, though, so he is relevant. He has the Essence Reaver plus the Triforce. You can see 2 items already done here for Hansama. The Void Staff is a bit of a question mark for me for Larssen. Grabbing that early Void Staff, there's not really much of any MR over on the other team, so don't love the buy, compared to just going Oblivion into a Death Cap or even just something like the Leandries. It's not going to be the best burst item to really just kind of one-shot people. Maybe is anticipating that there's going to be more MR coming down the tube, or could be one of those things where he just felt like, okay, I can afford this right now and I need the maximum power because we are behind, we are losing. We've got to be able to be as strong as possible for this fight, and I think that's a reasonable decision as well.
Drake is alive, and it looks like there's no contest from Rogue this time around. Because they bought the time last time around, they're saying, all right, this is the one that we have to sacrifice. It's still not Soul. Yes, it's going to put them in a bad spot going forward, having to fight for everyone thereafter, but they're just not in a good spot here. The arrow doesn't find the engage onto Hansama, but he's putting a lot of damage down onto Beryl, nearly able to kill him off, and there he is. Gallop, gallop! The horse has arrived. Rogue once again outplay the DAMWON engage.
Nicely done. Hansama barely didn't have his cleanse, so that arrow actually could have been death. But Ghost and Beryl not on point here, not coordinated. Beryl has had a lot of missteps this game. We'll see, does Rogue want to try to force something? They get a kill here. They're up near that Baron area. They're trying to bait DAMWON in towards them. But thus far, DAMWON has not taken the bait. They are not willing to believe that they are on that Baron. They're just going to try to stay in mid lane, get control of this, push in the next wave. And Beryl's back on the map now with ultimate available. So Rogue just going to take the kill and have to be satisfied with that.
Yeah, Beryl's 0 and 3 here on the Pantheon. I mean, the team only has 2 kills in total, so yeah, you can say he's at 50% KP, but I mean, it's 1 assist. He's been in a bad spot here a couple of times. Some mistakes getting punished. It is a champion like Pantheon where if you go in, you try to do your job, and the shield is down and your job's not done, you are. Yeah, because you're not walking away.
And I mean, you can say it's either one of their fault or both their fault, right? Like when you have Pantheon plus Ashe and you have that the cleanse cooldown is still off cooldown, like he doesn't have it, you flash Pantheon stun, then you Ashe arrow, and it's guaranteed, right? And they didn't do that. They didn't actually have it layered perfectly. It looked like Ghost was shooting it at the same time as Beryl was going in, and as a result, that just barely whiffed. They aren't able to take down Hansama and do give over another kill. Rogue has done a great job of holding on. They are still over 5,000 gold behind, but that means less now at 28 minutes than it did, 5 minutes ago when they were still at that deficit. So staying alive. And one big team fight win at this point could still turn the game, right? You know, if they get that perfect engage, they kill off DAMWON and they take Baron, all of a sudden, they probably just win the game.
Yeah, they've staunched the bleeding. Yes, they staunched it at a 5,000 gold deficit, which is kind of like having one of your arms still just hanging on by a thread. But hey, they still got it. The arm is still there, and Rogue is still at a decent enough spot in this game to fight back based on what we've seen from them so far. They have done an immaculate job at playing from behind and avoiding DAMWON's attempts at the death blow. DAMWON, on the other hand, have not faltered. They have not let Rogue catch up. They've maintained that advantage that they have, and now the next Drake is spawning in 2.5 minutes. They will be able to secure Soul if they get this one. Look at the crit itemization from Canyon, going full carry mode here, recognizing that his top laner is strictly a support and he's got to be the damage dealer. Phantom Dancer already done, has that extra cloak in inventory. Yeah, it's so much damage too if he's able to get in there and deal this damage with the Graves with that Lulu supporting him. And another thing I do want to bring up, we're getting close to the summit of Lulu's power. Remember when you're building support items like this, each one of these items is worth 2,000 gold instead of 3K-ish of a tank or a carry or something like that. He will hit full build before anybody else, and then that means he's plateaued. He's not going to get stronger. So once Nagari and DAMWON Gaming hit that point, that's when we really need to see them flex their muscles, take a Dragon Soul, take a Baron, and look to end the game before Finn on the Gangplank catches up and just becomes a much bigger threat.
Yeah, and I mean, Hans Sama now, has the Bloodthirster. He's getting to that point where it's harder and harder to just burst him down. The only healing debuff right now is from Ghost, and he may not have access to that backline. If Showmaker dives in there and can't immediately kill him off, if Vander lands that Taric ultimate, all of a sudden the Bloodthirster and plus the Blade of the Rune King, you're healing back up to full, and you're turning around that fight, stacking up spears during your Taric ultimate. So DAMWON really want to try to get a fight right now.
Oh, Larson is caught out. The damage comes through, and he's going to be killed before Cosmic Radiance. This could finally be what DAMWON Gaming is looking for. Showmaker gets himself away. The stasis provides him the chance to get in and get out without being killed. He can go back to the base, TP back into the fight, and DAMWON, they've still got 1 minute before the Drake would spawn, and they're going after the Baron.
Yeah, one slight misstep there, and Ghost nails the arrow onto Larson. If it was Vander, he could be Kalista ultimate out. If it was Hansama, he could cleanse it, but nothing there for him. And Rogue trying to get an angle. Inspired looks like he wants to try to go for this steal. We'll see if he can find it.
Inspired going in for the 50-50. Is he going to be able to do it? Looking to maybe take down the Baron. No, he will not. Nagari gets the kill, and Baron is secured by DAMWON. Now they're going back. They're healing up. Remember, if they get back out onto the map, they can go for the Drake's Soul.
They're going.
Inspired will not be alive in time to contest. This is the breaking point of this game. That engage right there in your Axe replay.
Yep, and it's just Larson trying to get some damage down, but one misstep against DAMWON. Rogue was playing with the Executioner's axe above their neck this whole game. You step one position out of position, and that's it. They just get knocked out right like that. I mean, again, Vander was ahead of him. If he could tank that arrow, he get pulled out of safety by Kalista. If Kalista gets hit, you cleanse it. If GP gets hit, you orange it. He's really the most susceptible person to that, and stepped a little bit too far forward looking for that poke, and it costs them Baron, it costs them Soul, and now we will see if DAMWON can clean up this game.
DAMWON are starting their Red Bull Baron with a Soul collection. One hell of a way to get things rolling here, as now they're pushing towards the enemy base. They got that minion wave enchanted. Of course, they don't want to step up any further. They know that Canyon is in the bottom lane. They don't want to really force any huge issue without that jungler here. He is such an important part of their damage profile. Instead, they're going to regroup with him in the bottom lane. Ghost and Nagari right next to him. Canyon's feeling plenty comfortable here. That Mountain Soul giving these guys the extra shield just to make sure they can play as aggressively as they want. Barrel here coming in from the side. Everybody from Rogue is grouped up around this tier 3 turret in the bottom lane, which means Showmaker just gets free hitting time on the mid lane tier 3. That one's going to lose about 3/4 of its health. Now Ghost is able to step up in the bottom lane. And this is where things get really dicey for Rogue. This is where split seconds can break the game, because you've got to be picking and choosing when you go in. That ultimate was not it. There's a whole bunch of things that could have been it, but that is not it. Over the wall goes Vander, looking to keep himself alive. Inspire going to be tanking up in the middle of all 5. Showmaker grabbing the kill on to Vander, 2 down. We have been complimenting Rogue's synergy, Rogue's team play, Rogue's ability to avoid that axe hanging over their head this entire game. but when they tried to go in the bottom lane, everything was out of sync. The Cosmic Radiance way too early. The Gangplank ulti didn't end up setting up for anything, and now DAMWON is looking for that death blow. Showmaker tries to go in. He tosses his ally in there. Canyon with the damage. The remaining 3 players of Rogue trying to heal up, trying to maybe mount some sort of a defense here. The minion wave is still at the Nexus turrets, and those are gone. The damage pours onto the Rogue health bars. Larson is eliminated, and the volleys continue flying. Canyon tanks the turret even for a split second there in the Nexus, and that is it. DAMWON victory.
Move to 2-0 in the groups. Another clean game from DAMWON. They have come in so prepared to this group. Really, really smart preparation in both games. I loved how they attacked Kanavi in game 1, utilizing the LPL invade strategies that they always do with Lilia to punish them. Game 2 here, coming out with the AP range top laner against Finn, try to deny any possibility of him being able to go to a tank, of being able to go sit back. And they extend these enormous advantages by getting pressure in the lanes, by super farming up their graves, and despite a valiant effort by Rogue, avoiding that killing blow for so long, DAMWON also never made the mistake to give Rogue that engage where they could turn around the fight. They were able to hang on and find their moment where they finally got a pick onto Larson to kill him off, and that was really it. They just needed that one slip up from Rogue to close this one out.
Rogue did a good job avoiding that slip up for the longest time, but man, watching 2 games now of DAMWON, they're just built different. This team is so damn good.
An absolute
at League
unit.
of Legends. The way that they're playing, the way that they're preparing, the way that they're executing, playing well around that support in the top lane, making sure to facilitate it with a properly adapted build for a carry in the jungle. And then even though they made those plays time and time again, trying to force things onto Rogue, and Rogue responded properly, DAMWON never lost their cool. They never went way too far in, way too ham. Yeah, a couple times Beryl was maybe feeling himself a little too much, but it just ends up being a small misplay that gives Rogue over a single kill or 2, not anything that cost them a major objective. There was never anything where it's like, wow, DAMWON really tossed this game right into the trash bin with that one. DAMWON was in control from start to finish. They kept the lead strong, and it's easy to see why this team is a lot of people's favorite to come out on top of the whole thing. They are looking fierce here in Worlds so far. We'll be back for more Worlds after the break as